Go right. This develops a lot of patience in you. So you start having patience on an animal, and you have patience on dealing with animals. Obviously that will develop in you to have patience in dealing with a human being, dealing with mankind. And sitting under a tree where the animals are just grazing and eating and this, and you are just waiting for the animal to finish. So you have a lot of patience. And you know, Ikhwani, believe me, when you meet shepherds and the country people, you find them, they're too quiet and relaxed. They're not as, always running around and rush like the people who live in the city. Like the people are constantly living in the city. So the people of the country and the people, especially the shepherds, they're much more patient. They're willing to stand in line, and the line continues to go, and they stand in line. When we come and we see 3, 4 people in line, hurry up, I can't wait. So subhanAllah, being a shepherd, it develops that patience in you, that quality of patience, which is one of the major qualities that a da'iyah, and especially a prophet and a messenger, needs. And many other things that the scholars do mention about the wisdom, but I wanted to mention the 2 main things is dealing with people is a preparation to deal with mankind and a preparation to have patience on mankind. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ describes himself that he worked for qararit. Qararit is like the cents. He worked for few cents, not dollars, for few cents for some tribe in Mecca as a shepherd. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ earned his living so he could reduce from that burden that his uncle had. Where the Prophet ﷺ could relax like the rest of the children and let the food come to him and let everything come to him, and he's a comfortable child that does not need to burden himself and work under the heated sun and follow behind sheep and goats and so forth. But the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had that character. He saw that if he could take some burden away from his uncle, he would not say no. And this is the quality of a Muslim. A Muslim should always be at the front, not the back. A Muslim should always be independent, not depending on others. And this is a very important character of a Muslim. Until one day when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was old enough to be taken on a travel, Abu Talib took the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to travel for the first time for the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to travel outside Mecca and to go as far as Syria, which is Busra. Busra is a town, and now it's a city in South Syria, in South Sham. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ accompanied his uncle Abu Talib on one of the business trips with his uncle, as we know that the people of Mecca used to trade, and they used to trade between one city and another. They used to trade between Mecca and Yemen and Mecca and Syria. What they have from products that the people of Syria or Yemen don't have, they sell it there, and in return they buy things, they bring it into Mecca and sell it there, and that's how they used to make money. And what the people of Mecca used to do, they used to all put their money in together and assign one trustworthy leader among them to go with a big caravan to go and sell their products to the other states or the other countries, and come back with different products to sell within Mecca. Now, what's so amazing about that trip is there was an amazing thing that happened and took place. When Abu Talib arrived to Busra, in Busra there used to be a Christian monk or a Christian priest by the name of Bahira. And Bahira used to stay in his place of worship, a temple. They used to stay there and constantly be there. And he was described to be, he will rarely leave that place of worship, only if there is extreme importance or there's a necessity. Now, some of the scholars narrate some of the miracles that took place is when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was traveling, and obviously they are traveling in the desert under a very hot sun. They say, the scholars narrate that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, wherever he was traveling, there was always a cloud that was following him, alayhi salatu wasalam, to protect him from the sun. And that was one of the signs. That was one of the signs that attracted the attention of Bahira when he saw that. And when he saw the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam from far, it's been narrated that Bahira came out of his place of worship. And when he comes out of the place of worship, usually the people in that town, they know this person never leaves. If he left, it's something very important. So he came out of his place of worship, his temple, and he came looking at the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ standing. And deeply looking at the Prophet ﷺ and analyzing the Prophet ﷺ until people start to realize this suspicion. Why is he looking at this young child? So he called and he said, who does this child belong to? So the people start to point at Abu Talib. So Abu Talib came. Bahira asked him, what does that child belong to you? What's his relation to you? Abu Talib said, my son. And you put yourself in the position of Abu Talib, someone like Muhammad who you love him so much, and his mother and father and grandfather were lost, and you've been taking care of him. Of course you're going to call him your son. He is my son. He didn't say he's my nephew. So Bahira said, no, you are wrong. Such a child his father should not be alive. Abu Talib was amazed. Like, how did you know? We are strangers. We've never met you before. We've never heard of you and you've never heard of us. How did you know that this child's father is dead? So he told him, yeah, you're right. I'm his uncle. He said, no, you're correct. And this is amazing. You put yourself in that position. Someone tells you who's that and you say, he is my son. And then says, no, he's not your son. He does not belong to you. His father is dead. And it's true. So you're amazed. Abu Talib was amazed. And then he told him, what happened to his father? He said, his father passed away before his birth. And Bahira started to ask questions. He started to ask questions about this child, about the background of this child, and how does this child this and that. And in some narration says that even Bahira asked the Prophet ﷺ, what do you see? What do you think of that? What do you think of this? And then he told Abu Talib, he said, listen here. Your nephew has a great status in the future. And by Allah, if he continue traveling here in this state, in this city, where there's so many Jews, if they see him, they'll know him and know who he is, and they'll kill him. So take him back right away, back to his town. Now Abu Talib is amazed. He's confused maybe. You know, where this man come from, saying this about my son. Oh, the Jews want to kill him. If he doesn't even know who the Jews are, what's the Jews between him? Should my son stole money from them? Obviously, a common sense thing will come to a man's mind. But Abu Talib, what made him believe that monk or the priest is when he asked him a few questions and he told him his father should not be alive. So Abu Talib straight away got scared on the Prophet ﷺ. As he gets scared and afraid on his own children, he took the Prophet ﷺ back to Mecca. So that was one of the amazing miracles that the scholars refer to it as irhas. And irhas are miracles before the prophecy. Mu'jiza is what the scholars refer to, miracles after the prophecy. So the prophets and messengers before the prophecy, Allah Azza wa Jal makes some miracles appear on their hands as an indication for the future responsibility, which is being a prophet and a messenger. So when Abu Talib was told by Bahir al-Rahib, told him, take him back right away, before the Jews find out about him. And if they do, they will kill him. So Abu Talib straight away turned back and went back to Mecca. And that, the scholars say, it made Abu Talib much more protective over the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Years to come, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam grows up to be a young teenager, independent, working, earning his income. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was like every other teenager, who also has desires. Prophets and messengers have desires, the way we have desires, and every person has desires. But the prophets and messengers, because of their high status, they have much more control over their desires. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a human being. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ. Say, I am only a human being. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is a human being, and that time he was a young man who thought like many other young men. And the Prophet ﷺ mentions in one of his traditions, in one of his ahadith, he says that one day I was sitting out in the farm, grazing and looking after the sheep as a shepherd. So I said, it came to my mind like every young man, let me go down Mecca, let me go down to the city of Mecca and hang out and spend the night with the rest of the teenagers like everyone else. Do you blame him to think that way? He's a human being. He's not a prophet yet. He's not a messenger. But he's getting prepared for that. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says in this hadith, which is an authentic hadith, he said, I told one of my work colleagues, one of my friends who was working with me, why don't you look after my sheep? Why don't you look after my sheep? And let me go down this night and spend the night with the young men and have fun and entertain myself and hang out with them like everyone else.